Hello, everyone. Hello. I was trying to. Whoops, just a second. Let me put that there. I was trying to have my usual little bit of music before flipping over to the webcam or to the camera. But I only had a little bit of practicing on that song. So it was quite rusty. But made it through. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Alana just woke up. She's behind the camera, just looking at the picture and smiling. I'm going to be doing something a little different this morning. Yep, that's you. I'm going to be doing something a little different. Now I can't see the live chat very well, but I think there's a couple of you there. I know this is odd, so nobody was expecting it, and not very many may join the live stream, but shh, Alana, shh, don't bump the camera, please. But I thought I would read, I mentioned in the last live stream that I thought I would read a short Christmas story. And my wife's best friend, a little background there, they've been friends since I think they were 6 or 7. And so going back a long ways there. And we don't get to go down to Missouri at I can't remember when Rebekah's birthday is. But we don't very often get to go down around her birthday or even Amber and Angela's birthday, since Amber is a twin and her sister is Angela. And we don't get to go down there very often, but Rebekah and Angela get together on their birthdays and send us pictures of where they go to and what special stuff they get to do. So they've been best friends for many years. And she writes stories, and she writes very good stories, in my opinion. And she's written a bunch of Christmas short stories. I wish I had my little stack here. I would show you. She has like a collection. They're really small books, but there's about 9 of them, I think. And they have about 45 to 55 pages, I think, each. So they're not a long read, but this one I'm going to read today is called Go Tell It, if I can find it. This one is actually a shorter short story. This one is about 17 pages, not even, if I can find it. And I'm just going to try to jump right in here because as short as it is, it'll still take time.
Is that new?
No, I've read it before on a different. Well, I think we have. I think Auntie Beck sent the short story in one of the Christmas cards from last year. This one's copyright 2020, so it's not that old. Okay, let's jump right in here. Go Tell It. I wish I had background music. That would go nicely probably with it, but that's too complicated for how quickly I was trying to pull things together. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ was born. The song. Well, it says was here. Maybe we changed it in our hymn book or the song to is born. But if I'm singing it, he was born way back when. Anyway, just a little technicality. That's the way we sing all the time, don't we? Is born. The song rolled over the path and down the trail. The singer on horseback continued his way up the mountain, his coat buttoned securely and a red scarf tied around his neck. On his head he wore a felt hat, but you may not sit here. It's hard enough having enough room here sometimes. Oh, I know what you could do. Could you go get me the Kleenex box? And then come right back. But this was, on his head, he wore a felt hat, but this was pushed back, and his face was clearly seen. It was a younger face than one might expect in the mountains. In the mountains, away from the Christmas bustle of city life. His eyes were blue and clear, and his voice had a cultured sound to it. Do I have a cultured sound? I don't know about that. One moment. There. I still have that control with my iPad, so I use it. Since why I have the sound of that. Okay, let's see. Cultured sound. Go tell it on the mountain. The singing continued to the accompaniment of plodding hooves. Come on, sassy old girl. The singer paused to encourage his mount. We've still got a bit of riding to do. You know, some of these children have never had a Christmas before. The horse shook her head as though she didn't believe it. I mean that, Sassy. Want to know how I know? Frank Tippins was lost. Now, I don't know if this means like, it's not a chapter point. It's just kind of like, I don't know if it's a break, like from where we were to a next thought. I'm not sure, but there's those every now and then. Frank Tippins was lost. Not very lost, but he knew he'd never make it home in time for Christmas morning. Maybe not even for Christmas dinner, he reflected ruefully. Taking that supposed shortcut wasn't such a good idea. I should have never trusted Ike and Theo. Wearily, he urged his tired horse on over the snowy mountain road. By the way, I'm not sure when the story is set. I've asked Rebekah before, but she kind of hints that, oh, well, she never says a specific date and time, although I think a lot of her stories she likes to go back in the olden days. But I just imagine that with the horseback and going through the mountains. It doesn't mean there weren't cars and stuff in the city, but yes, he should have taken the train. He should have checked with others about the shortcut. But he had been so eager to get home for his Christmas vacation from college that he hadn't once thought of it. He had spent the night in a small shack with an old man who didn't say more than 5 words to him the entire time he was there. To Frank, that was unbelievable. Now it was early Christmas morning. He wasn't sure just how much farther he had to go. Up ahead, he saw two men tying up a bundle of wood. "Merry Christmas," he called. Both men looked up, but neither returned the greeting. "Can you tell me how much farther it is to Clarksville? And will this road take me there?" "Yep. Just keep on it, and you'll get there." "Is it much farther?" Frank asked. "Depends." "On what?" "Snow, your horse, you." The man shrugged and turned back to help his partner with the wood. "Thank you. Merry Christmas." Frank nudged his horse forward and listened in vain for a return greeting. A little farther on, he saw some children in a snowy yard. "Merry Christmas," he called, waving. Only silence and stares greeted him. This continued for some time. No one returned his greeting. Finally, one child, a boy around the age of Frank's younger brother, came up to the road and asked, "What's that?" "What's what?" "Christmas." It was Frank's turn to stare. "Why, Christmas is when we celebrate the birthday of Jesus Christ. We give gifts to each other and sing Christmas songs and have a special dinner. Don't you folks up here celebrate Christmas?" The boy shook his head. "Ain't never have." Then someone called the boy and he ran off. Never had a Christmas? Frank was so astonished at this news that he didn't notice his horse moving forward of its own accord. The thought that there were people in America who didn't even know about Christmas was incredible. The rest of the long, cold ride home, Frank kept his eyes out for people, and to each one he gave his usual greeting and listened for a response. No one answered. Upon reaching the top of a hill that overlooked Clarksville, he halted his horse and half turned in the saddle. As he looked back up the trail he had come down, the words of a song he had heard the Jubilee singers sing earlier that year came to his mind. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. It says is here this time. I'll have to mention to Auntie Beck. I wonder if she can do typos. Lord, is there a reason you sent me over these mountains? He prayed aloud. Do you want me to do something? But what can I do? I'm not studying for the ministry. If I was, I might understand it. Another line from the song rang through his head. I asked the Lord to help me, and he showed me the way. Looking up into the rosy late afternoon sky, Frank gave a half smile. I asked, Lord, now I'm waiting for you to show me the way. And that, Sassy, is how I know. The rider glanced back at the sacks tied on behind his saddle. I got home all right, and I've been riding this trail to and from school, trying to get to know folks. Okay, so here's another break. So I guess Frank was coming up the trail, and then we jump back to an earlier time when he had first tried meeting some of these people passing through. So now he's, I guess, going back and forth a few times, trying to get to know folks. It's hard, though. I did meet one older man who is friendly enough, and we're going to use his barn for the celebration. He said he used to celebrate Christmas when he was just a little chap, before his father moved the family up into the mountains after his mother died. His horse stopped and snorted. Frank slid off her back. Getting tired? I would have brought Thunder if he hadn't gone lame. He and I have ridden this trail since the beginning. Come on now, girl. I'll walk for a while. And striding forward, he began to sing again. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Every time Frank saw a cottage, he would go up to the door and knock, inviting all within to come to Mr. Herman's barn for a Christmas celebration. We'll have a story and gifts, he would promise. No one said they would come, and many didn't say anything. But in one house, Frank thought he saw the boy who had admitted to not knowing what Christmas was. He prayed that he would come. At last he reached Mr. Herman's small cabin. Ain't a big barn, the old man said, hobbling around his cabin, but I don't reckon many people will be coming. Why not? Frank asked. The man shrugged. Why should they? They don't know what Christmas is. Frank didn't have an answer to that, but when they reached the barn, he set to work getting it ready. The old straw was swept up, and, getting permission to use some old scraps of wood he had found, he fashioned makeshift benches. Next, he found a tree in the nearby woods and dragged it back. Carefully, he unpacked the things he had brought: candy sticks, dozens of small dolls and wooden trains, stuffed bears, and other small gifts. And, carefully wrapped in a white cloth, a shining golden star stood ready to stand on the top of the tree. Even in the dim light of the 2 lanterns, the star gleamed. While shepherds kept their watching o'er silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light, or shone. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Frank sang his song lustily as he tied the gifts to the tree and attached the candle holders before carefully settling each candle in place. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. All I need is Aiden to wake up and I'll have an audience of 3. That tree sure looks nice, Mr. Herman remarked, coming into the barn. Even if it'll just be us and our horses to enjoy it. Oh, I think some others will come. And Frank stepped back to admire the tree himself. After all, I did stop at every house I came to and told them. The barn door creaked softly as it opened just enough for a form to slip inside. Frank turned and smiled. "Hello again." It was the boy who had asked about Christmas, or what Christmas was last year. "So, you've come to find out about Christmas?" The boy nodded, his eyes fastening on the tree. "Good. We'll wait until some others come, and then we can all start together." "You expectin' others?" the boy, his eyes still riveted to the tree, asked. "Yes," Frank admitted. "I was hoping everyone would come this evening to find out about Christmas." Finally, the boy tore his gaze from the tree and looked at Frank. "I don't reckon any of 'em will be here, 'cept me." "Well, let's wait a bit and see. By the way, I'm Frank Tippins. What's your name?"
"Joe Smithy."
Smiling, Frank offered his hand. "Pleased to meet you, Joe. Do you have any brothers or sisters?"
"2 of each."
"So do I," and Frank laughed a little. For some time, the two boys talked about their families and the winter weather. Frank found out that there used to be a school in the area during warm weather, but the teacher had left to get married 2 years ago, and no one had come to take her place. Everything still working? Yeah. Where are we? Take her place. I lost you. Since that time, the schoolroom had sat unused. Can you read, Joe?
"Sure. I ain't good at it, but I get by. Ain't we going to start soon?"
Frank looked at the time on his pocket watch. "Mr. Herman is supposed to join us. Once he comes, we'll begin." There had been no sign of anyone else, but Frank had hopes that folks would still come. Mr. Herman came a few minutes later, saying that there was no sign of anyone else, and they might as well begin. With a nod, Frank began lighting the candles carefully. He knew it could be dangerous to have lit candles in a barn, but he had swept any loose straw away and had 2 pails of water standing by. The door creaked again, the flames of the candles flickered at the cold draft, and 3 heads turned. A small wisp of a girl slipped inside.
"Nanny, what are you doing out here?"
Joe demanded, rushing toward her and putting an arm protectively about her thin shoulders.
Come to find
Me, girl voices.
Come to find out where you'd gone."
Then her eyes fell on the tree. The star gleamed in the light of the candles, and the candy, toys, and gilded pine cones left her speechless for a moment.
"What's that?"
Her voice was barely a whisper. "It's a Christmas tree," Frank said, coming forward. "Won't you join us?" Joe looked at his sister and then pulled her forward. Together they sat on one of the benches. Nanny's eyes never left the tree. Now Frank was a master storyteller, often in demand at college and home gatherings, and in the dim and chilly barn he told the story of the first Christmas so long ago. He told about Mary and Joseph and no room in the inn, about the shepherds and the angels, and about the wise men and the star. Then, in the flickering lights of the candles, he told about Jesus and the gift of salvation he brought to each one who would believe. There was silence in the old barn when he finished. One of the horses moved in her stall. "I ain't heard that story since I was no bigger than a grasshopper," Mr. Herman said softly. "Makes me feel young again to hear it now," he sighed. "Wish Pa had kept having Christmas." "Well," Frank said slowly, "perhaps it's not too late for everyone else." Mr. Herman shook his head. "Afraid folks are too set against it to start changing now." Frank glanced over at Joe and Nanny. "Not everyone is afraid of change. I think with you, Mr. Herman, and Joe and Nanny, we can work on folks this year, and next year maybe more will come."
"I'll help,"
Joe sat up a little straighter.
"And me,"
Nanny whispered, pulling her shawl tighter about her shoulders. I guess I should have said,
"and me."
Nodding with satisfaction, Frank said, 3 is a good start." Maybe we can take a bit of Christmas cheer to everyone tomorrow, since it will be Christmas Day then. Plans were made, and before Joe and Nanny went back home, Frank gave each of them a stick of candy and asked them to pick something from the tree for a Christmas present. Nanny went at once to the tree and pointed to a small doll with brown curls and a red dress. With a smile, Frank took her down. His sister had assured him that a brown-haired doll would be one of the first dolls chosen. Joe wanted a jackknife. "I'll come by your place tomorrow morning," Frank began, but Joe shook his head. "Why not?" "I'll come here," was all the boy would say, and Frank had to agree. It was a strange Christmas for Frank. The children liked the candy and presents he left for them, but no one seemed interested in the Christmas story. And at last, after visiting the final house, he turned to Joe, who had spent the day with him, going from house to house. "No one seemed interested in Christmas this year, but maybe next year." Joe shifted from foot to foot. By the way, there's another little rectangle, like a break. I'm not sure if this jumps us to a next Christmas, even, but... "What is it?" Frank asked. "You've got some idea." "Maybe if there was a teacher who opened the school again and taught in the winter when there ain't much to do, then maybe..." The boy's voice died away, and he shoved his hands into his coat pockets and kicked at the snow. "The school? Is there an actual schoolhouse, Joe?" Joe nodded. "Want to see it?" "Yes, I would." It was a sad little building. The windows were dirty, and some animals had made their homes inside, for the door wouldn't shut firmly. "Well, Joe," Frank said, after looking over the schoolhouse, "it would need a lot of work, and I don't know of any teachers who would be willing to teach up here all year, but I'll ask around and see if I can find one." "Why don't you teach us?" Startled, Frank raised his eyebrows and stared at the boy before him. "Me? I'm not a teacher." "You taught Nanny and me about Christmas, didn't you?" Frank had no answer to make, and soon after he started down the trail back to his home in the city. And soon after he started down the trail back to his home in the city. I thought it was going to continue a different thought, but there's a period. But the thought wouldn't leave him alone. Next section. The evening was cold and dark. Snow blanketed the ground, and a biting wind blew, but inside the snug schoolhouse on the mountain, all was warm and bright. Parents and friends were crowded onto the benches on one half of the room. That's the cold wind. While the 15 students occupied the other side. I could see now, as we go through the story with each section, you could go, there's a lot of filling in the blanks one could do to expand the story. Parents and friends were crowded onto the bench. I think I said that. Benches on one half of the room, while the 15 students occupied the other side, right? A tall, slender pine tree filled up one corner. Its branches, filling the room with this wonderful smell, were hung with gilded nuts, toys, and small Bibles. Strings of popcorn were wound about its branches, but the candles, though they stood straight, tall, and white, were not lit. They waited. "Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain, that Jesus Christ is born." The song rang out from the children and filled the room with music. Several other Christmas songs had been sung, but it was easy to tell that this was their favorite, for their voices were loud and smiles wreathed every face. Frank couldn't help but smile too, as he directed the students, his students. When he had first heard the Jubilee singers sing the song the children were now singing so eagerly, he never would have thought that he would be teaching in a small mountain hamlet. Yet, here he was. When the song ended, it was time for the best part of the Christmas Eve program. There was no church, but Frank had done his best at teaching his students and any others about his Savior. After the children scattered to find their parents, and the benches were moved so that folks faced the Christmas tree, Frank carefully lit the candles, and Joe turned the lamps down to a soft glow. One night, long ago, Frank began. As he told of Bethlehem and the birth of the Savior, Frank looked from one face to another. Wonder and awe were written on every face as the folks on the mountain heard, many for the first time, the story of Christmas. Tell it on the mountain? Yes, Frank realized. That song had been used by the Lord to guide him to a mountain in need of Christmas. He showed me the way, he thought with a smile. The end. Yep, I told you it was short. How long was that? Yep, that was a short story. It's let's say it's not even 17 pages. Technically, it'd only be 13, 12. I had asked Rebekah about the other short stories I mentioned, the 9 little books, but she mentioned she does have them recorded already, so she can't have them recorded by other people, so that's fine, but she has these little stories. I thought they'd be the perfect length for a live stream in the morning. So if you guys want to check out any more of Rebekah's stories, because she has quite a few, Asa, we've read I've read a few of them to everyone. Amber and I have read some ourselves too. But like she's got quite a variety, like a book kind of set in World War I or II, I think it is. Asa likes the Graham Quartet mystery series. They're siblings, 2 girls, 2 boys, who just get involved in mysteries. Oh, you. There. It's so early. Why did you guys wake up? You should be in bed still.
I woke up because I couldn't sleep anymore.
Just couldn't sleep anymore. Well, I woke up too early, so maybe I could have some of your sleep.
No.
Anyway, she has quite a few stories, so if you want to check them out, look in the description for this video, and there should be a link to the short stories, and then you can just go back to the main page, readanotherpage.com. I can't remember. Just check the description, and you'll find her page, and you can probably find her books on Amazon, Kindle, bookstores, I think, online as well. But check her site first. They'll, I think, show you any of the stuff that you could get from her. I was going to say we could finish with singing that song. I might still, actually. I can't do it with you on here, Asa, but that Jesus Christ is born. I wonder if I could find it here for you guys so you can see it too. 1 second here, everyone. I'll tell you what. We won't use that here. Okay, so you might have to get up again. I'm going to grab my guitar just to finish things off so we still get to, excuse me, please, get a little music to everyone can join in with. I'm going to find... Shh, Asa. I'm going to find the song here. On the mountain, over the hills and everywhere, go tell it. I found it. Okay. So I'll cue it up for you guys, and I'll have to kind of turn my gaze that way because I don't have it in front of me. I'm a little close here. Sorry about that. I wasn't... Oh, please don't play with the chords, because I'm more set up to be sitting back like that. But we'll cut over to the song here for y'all. Okay, ready? I'll go low for everyone else. Go tell it on the mountain. Yeah, we'll do that. That should work for everyone. Okay, you can all join in if you know the song, which I'm sure most of you do.
You can.
Shh. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. While shepherds kept their watching o'er silent flocks by night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. The shepherds feared and trembled when low above the earth rang out the angel chorus that hailed the Savior's birth. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Down in a lowly manger, the humble Christ was born, and God sent us salvation that blessed Christmas morn. Go tell it on the mountains, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. That Jesus Christ is born. Just a second.
Daddy,
Had a little hummer over here.
these thingies look like the things that were in Sorry Sliders, the little ones.
Oh, you have a point there. Sorry, slider little pieces that do your score. That's right. Oh, I didn't switch over here. Well, everyone, believe it or not. Oh, I'm just going to cut over here to live chat. Oh, there's stuff going on. Hello, everyone that has joined in. Yes, well, thank you for joining in, everyone. That was a little different. I don't know if I'll do another one tomorrow. I might, just because, like I say, they're short. Just something a little different to be doing before Christmas. Christmas is coming. Saturday, tomorrow is actually Alana's birthday. Then Christmas,
Wait,
I don't have papers to do today because people come and get it. Tomorrow I'll have papers. I don't know. I'm assuming the paper will come through. The road, we got a little snow last night, but Saturday I'll have no papers to do. So that's nice, Christmas. So I'm not sure if I might start a little earlier to do a live stream. I don't know if I'll do... I don't know who all is going to be up earlier on Christmas. I might start about 7. I might consider that. But I'll try to make a post or a little quick video saying what I'm doing. Hey, so you don't have to be in front like that. You can be over here. That's okay. But for now, everyone, thank you for joining in. This wasn't meant to be a long live stream. Just read that short story. If there'll be another one tomorrow morning, I would simply say just come on to the channel or check for a live stream around the same time, around 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, whatever time that is for you. So take care, everyone. Hope you were blessed by that story. Just a nice little reminder of what Christmas really is. Be that Jesus Christ is born. Oh, such good news. Take care. May the Lord bless and keep you all. Wait, do you want to say something before we go?
wait. Oh, I'm watching
Oh, well, you can watch
Daddy,
that
Daddy,
later.
Daddy, Daddy. For breakfast, can we have
Can you say goodbye first?
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Wait. I want to watch it.
Bye.